I'm Jessica Minton for IB Times TV reporting from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, where stocks were flat today after disappointing earnings from Walmart and a rise in jobless claims. But the big news was about the recession going on in Europe. Economist Guilfoyle will be speaking with us about how the recession will impact investments in the U.S. as well as the looming fiscal cliff. The Eurozone has slipped back into recession, which is the second since the global financial crisis in 2009. The European Union Statistic Office announced on Thursday that GDP in the 17-nation bloc slipped 0.1% in the third quarter after a 0.2% decline in the previous 3 months. Concerns over whether the Greek government can avert a default and if Spain will ask for a formal bailout, combined with the approaching U.S. fiscal cliff, has hit business and investors' confidence. The Eurozone is now going into another recession. Should investors conserve their cash or put it in safer assets such as U.S. government debt?
You know, I don't see those two things as directly correlated. What we saw out of the Eurozone this morning, we saw flash third quarter GDPs for France, for Germany, for Italy, and for the EMU in general. And what they all had in common was that they all beat consensus. So while, yes, technically they have entered into recession with 2 quarters in a row of a contracting economy, it's actually better than they thought it was going to be. So it's actually being seen in the circles I'm talking to as a slight positive coming out of Europe. Although there's still so much uncertainty in Europe regarding Greece, regarding Spain, regarding Ireland, regarding Portugal, this is being seen as something of a positive for the third quarter. So that being said, I don't know how you would relate cash or treasury securities to that exactly. If you're looking to preserve your capital, yeah, I guess treasury securities are the way to go. I think you should keep something in cash, just so you have something in cash. But I think that you're probably going to do a little better if you play the metals, if you play equities, if you play the traditional investments. I don't know how you're going to get that much out of treasuries right now other than preserving your capital.
President Barack Obama said on Wednesday that Republicans would have to agree to raising taxes on the wealthy as the first step in a budget deal that would prevent a dysfunctional Washington from pushing the economy into recession.
We cannot afford to extend the Bush tax cuts for the wealthy. What we can do is make sure that middle-class taxes don't go up. And so the most important step we can take right now, and I think the foundation for a deal that helps the economy, creates jobs, gives consumers certainty, which means gives businesses confidence that they're going to have consumers during the holiday season, is if we right away say 98% of Americans are not going to see their taxes go up.
But U.S. House Speaker John Boehner said that raising taxes on upper-income Americans to avoid the fiscal cliff will destroy hundreds of thousands of jobs.
Some have said that despite the risk, we should let our nation's economy go off part of the fiscal cliff in January by allowing the top 2 rates to rise. They believe that doing that will generate more revenue for the federal government. But here's the problem with that. Raising those rates on January 1st would, according to the independent firm Ernst & Young, destroy 700,000 American jobs. That's because many of those hit by this tax increase are small business owners, the very people who are the key to job creation in America.
President Obama said on Wednesday that solving the fiscal cliff is possible, but Republicans would have to agree on raising taxes for the wealthy. Well, going back to the higher rates from the 1990s for the wealthy, instead of extending those Bush tax cuts, will that actually help in the long run?
All right, the fiscal cliff isn't really a fiscal cliff. It's really like a fiscal slope or a fiscal series of hills. There's a lot of points out there, 15 to 18 points, that they have to really compromise on or decide one side wins and the other does not. It sounds like this higher tax rate for the wealthy, but people who make $250,000 or more, or at least $1 million or more, is almost a certainty. So you're probably right that is probably going to happen, or the president's right, that probably is going to happen, because I see a little give on the side of the Republicans regarding that. Will that help the economy in the long run? It'll help the country, the nation, balance its sheet a little bit. The balance sheet, it'll even up a little bit. But as for the economy in the long run, it'll probably have a drag effect. It'll probably hurt the economy in the long run because those people who do make more money won't be investing it. They won't be buying goods, let's say boats, because they're wealthy, right? So they won't be buying boats or cars that the middle class manufacture for them, or the middle class tries to sell to them and works on commission. So there are pieces of this puzzle that are going to hurt the trickle-down economy, some people call it. These wealthier folks won't be hiring people to work for them either. So there are certainly negatives, but in the short term, it should help pay some of the country's bills.
The Speaker of the House said that raising taxes on the top 2% of earners would actually destroy jobs. Should Congress instead focus on tax reform that closes loopholes and lowers tax rates?
I do believe that will hurt employment somewhat, that one piece of the pie. As far as lowering tax rates, I'm kind of from the Steve Forbes school, okay? Even though it will never happen, I do think they do need to close many of these loopholes because the tax code is just too complicated. There's too many nooks and crannies out there that people can hide in, and they shouldn't be able to hide. But if you had a flat tax rate where no matter what you made, you paid that same percentage, I don't think anybody could complain about that. And just make an exemption for those living in poverty because they shouldn't really be paying taxes. But everyone else their reason to complain would be gone. They'd have to contribute, and they wouldn't be able to hide in all these other places that they've been hiding for the last 50 years.
Congress has until January 1st to agree on a solution until automatic spending cuts and tax increases go into effect. I'm Jessica Minton for IB Times TV.